What's going on, future millionaires? Welcome back to another episode hosting this bear market podcast. This is awesome. This is every time I come in here, man, I have really good hopes of where things are headed, at least in the crypto market. As usual, we'll dive into a little bit of TA, looking at the charts, a little bit of trading view. Got a little bit organized today, so we're going to take a look at the Bitcoin price, which is 37,373. I think we're at roughly the same. 37,380.
Oh, wow.
So we're about roughly at, I think, the same price as we were last week.
No, we're higher than that.
We are?
Yeah, we were
36.
We were in the 30, either the high 35s or 36. I think we had got a little bit of a drop. The week before, we were right around where we're at now.
Yeah.
And then I think last week we had dropped like 1,000. We were in like the high 35s or 36s. And then like before I came in today, I looked like literally like in the parking lot, it was like 36.9. So it's up 400 since then. Yeah.
Well, it looks like Ethereum's up 1% on the day. 2,038. Same deal, kind of at this resistance level. It's getting it's this 2,100 level on Ethereum, similar to the 38,000 level on Bitcoin. But
hard to breach. Yeah.
Yeah. This is another chart I really like to look at. It's the total crypto market cap. So it's taking into account all the cryptocurrencies, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, which is about a $416 billion market cap. And, it looks like it is so small. If you really think about it, what I like to tell people, because they're like, am I late in crypto? And I'm like, well, listen, man. If you just look at one equity, Apple, which is, what is that, $2 trillion? And then you look at Bitcoin, or not even just Bitcoin, all the cryptocurrencies, there's over 13,000.
Less than Apple.
It's $1.3 trillion, less than Apple. Now, that's just one equity. Now, if you take all the equities, that's hundreds of trillions of dollars. And then you take real estate, hundreds of trillions of dollars. Picasso paintings, shit like that.
When you play the percentage game and you're like, all right, how much percentage of the equity market share can Bitcoin take? Just 1% of that entire market.
Yeah.
You're talking like multi-trillions of dollars.
Yeah.
Then what about 2%, 3%, 4%, just 5%? You're just talking the multiples just start to be mind.
Yeah, we're still early if you're wondering. If you're watching this on November 20th, you're definitely got some time. As you can see, we're still in this accumulation range. What I like to do is, and this is actually a thread based on the total three, which is excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. We're at a critical level. So you can see the entire crypto market combined, except Bitcoin and Ethereum we just talked about. And it's trying to break out of this 540 days accumulation range. And if we break this and this succeeds, expect a massive multi-quarter rally on alts versus the US dollar. If this fails, we can probably see a 30-50% correction, but have both scenarios in mind. If we do break out of this accumulation range, don't sell too early. Know how to add on the dips for high conviction bags. You can see this accumulation range. We're at this resistance right here. So if we can break through this, we can see a rally in altcoins. But if we get a rejection, like I said, expect a 30-50% correction. So just be cautious. Be ready for both scenarios. And if we do get a rejection, make sure you have some dry powder to get to buy on those 40-60% corrections. But yeah, we'll keep you guys notified as long as you subscribed to our channel. We'll keep you guys in the. And if you are in crypto and you are in altcoins, and if you are buying within the last 3 months, you've probably seen a nice little rally. But to put things into perspective, in 2017, alts went from 10 billion to 357 billion at the peak right here. In 2020 over here, we went from 30 billion to 1.13 trillion. And right now, we've only gone from 300 to 420 billion for reference. So if you think like you're getting euphoria and like you're making money now, like we've seen nothing as far as the altcoin market, which is cool. You see that chart?
Yeah. I just think like people need to understand value transfer. And that's how we get these enormous numbers that we talk about. When you hear these guys predicting, multiple $100,000 Bitcoin or even, $1 million plus Bitcoin, and people are like, how does that even come to fruition? And it's like, you got to look at how much value is locked up in all of these other markets. And then when people start to transition funds from one market to this market, that value transfers from equities, from real estate, from whatever sort of investments, if it is those paintings that we've talked about, all that value, when it transfers over to this, there's something like, I was watching a video where it's like, to make the price move, it's like $1 makes the price move like the multiple is, I wish I knew it exactly. I was watching a British Hodl video and he was talking about this. Like $1 billion in moves the market like 20 or 30 multiples of that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like 1 billion coming in is almost like 20, 30 billion affecting the price market cap. Yeah. So, and then what ends up happening is as that continues to flow in, it accelerates. Yeah. So then as more comes in, now 1 billion might be 50 billion, might be 70 billion. Then it just starts to flood in, and then these prices start to expand. And that's how this happened. That's how you got a $1 Bitcoin to be $69,000 Bitcoin. And you saw like the multiple just explode. Like that's how that happens. So I think people just need to like understand like value, and as more people recognize the things that are valuable, the things that hold value, and this being, what we believe, and many others that are much smarter than us are also believing, is that this is a great place to store wealth and to store value.
Isn't it crazy that the smartest minds in finance are focused in on Bitcoin? But like no one I feel like a lot of people on the outside looking in just don't see the value in it still. But although we have like the largest institutions adopting this, it's just mind blowing. And I kind of feel bad because it's like when are you going to take that? It takes hours, thousands of hours to understand Bitcoin. Like it takes a long time to fully understand it and grasp it. And like you said, like understand how money works and stuff like that.
I was in the market for close to 6 years before I got 100% conviction.
Yeah.
Before it was like, I let's see, the first coin I ever accumulated was sometime around 2014. And the last time I've sold into fiat was 2018. Yeah. So I haven't sold anything since then. And that's a 4-year span of learning where, I can understand people coming in and still having that fiat mindset, where I just don't have the only fiat mindset that I have now is how do I accumulate more fiat in order to
buy more,
to take care of my life, the stuff that I have to pay fiat for to take care of, like your normal bills and stuff like that. But then how do I accumulate more Bitcoin with that fiat as well? It just takes a while to there's just so many facets to this. This is why like we're fighting uphill. Like this is an uphill fight. It really is. Like we're fighting against the traditional mindset of how money works and how finance works, and also even more so than that, like even the conversation that we had off camera before we got started, like people don't have basic financial literacy understanding. So we sometimes have to get them up to speed on just how the actual system that they're engaged in works and understanding all that. And then once we get them to understand that, then we got to say, oh, that's BS. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's this alternative to that. So you catch them up to speed on what they're engaged in now, and then pivot to this new thing. And it's like, there's just so much learning that has to go, that we're fighting against for people to really grasp this and understand. And to really quickly talk about like the smartest people are getting this. Yes, but I still don't trust them. I still don't trust them.
Who do you not trust?
Any of them.
Who's anyone?
Name somebody. Larry Fink?
Larry Fink.
Don't trust him.
Why don't you trust Larry Fink?
Because Larry Fink is one of these elites that are a shot caller. He's a traditional system shot caller. So yes, we're excited about BlackRock. Yes, the ETFs are a good thing for price, right? Of course, for our bags, for our future, lineages, bags and stuff like that. But I don't necessarily 100% believe that Larry Fink is in this for the same reasons that we're in this for. He's still fiat mindset.
Yeah. And
I think he recognizes a great opportunity like we do, but he views it differently than we view it. Which again, like this is splitting the hairs of getting people to understand of like, I'm not accumulating Bitcoin because I'm selling it for $1 million. Whereas Larry Fink is accumulating Bitcoin to hit his customers with fees to custody it for them, and he sees a fiat avenue in that. He may still believe that the system will shift and Bitcoin maybe has some of these qualities that we do, but I don't necessarily believe that.
You know how we look at it like property. Can you talk more about like Bitcoin being property? I was trying to explain that to my dad the other day. He's like, yeah, well, you can just buy X stock or Apple and all this. And I'm like, you can't custody Apple. Like that's you can get that to be confiscated. Like talk about like Bitcoin's value, because that's where a lot of the value comes from. It's a digital asset. It's property. It's the only property we're able to own that is 100% in our custody. We've never seen anything like that, and it's just groundbreaking.
Yeah, again, it goes back to mindset and people not understanding what ownership really is. And again, like when you talk about real estate, and it comes off, and I have conversations with people, and then people comment on our videos, and they really think that I'm just shitting on real estate, and I think like real estate isn't great. I do think real estate is great. I don't. There's people that we know personally that make a lot of money and make a good living on real estate, and there's a lot of value in it. But what's not debatable is that even though you say, like when we have a conversation like how many properties do you own? Oh, I own 20 properties. You don't. You have a piece of paper that you lay claim to that property, but you don't truly own it because you're still paying rent for that property in the form of taxes. You still owe property taxes, right? And if you're a landlord, right, and the toilet breaks, either you or you have to pay somebody to go there to fix that, right? If somebody defiles your property that you own, you're responsible for going in there and fixing it in order to rent it for it to continue to generate income, right? So there's a lot that goes into that. Like you're still a slave to it, right? You're a slave to that property, whether you own it straight up and are flipping it and have to do the work for that, or what most people do, which I think has the best value, is you're owning it and it's generating income for you, but you're a slave to that property. When something goes wrong, you have to take care of that. And then you still owe either in the form of property tax or in the form of upkeep. Like you are continuing to be a slave to that property, right? And then again, what you just said, it can be taken from you. Stop paying your property taxes. Don't pay the water bill. Get charged with a crime. And the government, either local or federal, can come in and seize it from you. So if you truly, really own that, it's yours. Nobody should be able to take it from you. With Bitcoin, again, you have to understand, like, we're not talking about Coinbase Bitcoin. We're not talking about Gemini Bitcoin. We're not talking about Binance Bitcoin. We're talking about self-custody Bitcoin, where you have a 12-seed or 24-seed passcode either in your brain or on a piece of paper or on one of those stamp seeds that are, all the rage on the internet. I've actually been thinking about maybe getting metal plates, yeah. If you know those 12 words or those 24 words, it can't be confiscated. You truly own that. And you're not a slave to it because you don't have to worry about fixing a toilet. You don't have to worry about paying property tax on it. I've owned my Bitcoin for years. And I haven't had to pay any taxes on the Bitcoin that I own. I don't pay property taxes to no one because I own it. It's mine. I am the true owner of it.
So no one could take your Bitcoin.
Can't be taken from me. And I actually have it. I'm not a slave to it. Whereas with anything else that you own, you're a slave to that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, especially with the real estate. Yeah, go ahead, Rich.
I got
Jump
an interesting thought on that too.
Okay.
So I brought up, I think, the art, and we've talked about off camera, like owning art or owning property. So 2 questions. So the thing first comment is, if let's say you invest in a Picasso, you're also paying for what? The insurance. You're paying for someone to protect that Picasso, right? You don't got it in your living room and you're not sitting in front of it with a shotgun.
Yep.
You're putting it somewhere where it's safe. So there are inherent costs in protecting that property that you
Reoccurring
own,
costs. Yep.
right? Same thing with your home. You own that home, but you have to have property insurance so that so someone comes over and trips on your sidewalk, that they don't take your house because they say that you didn't shovel or something like that. And then the question I bring up with that is, is I have X numbers of Bitcoin or stuff that the different stuff like you have in my portfolio. If I make money, let's say I cash it out. I'm getting old. I want to blow this money and I cash it out. What do I pay to the federal government? Do I pay? Do I have to pay do I pay taxes?
It's considered property. It's considered property by the government. So you would pay the capital gains taxes that you would pay on a property that you own. But the only time that you would be responsible for that would be if you took the value in fiat.
Got it.
So I'll speak for myself. I don't want to say that every single Bitcoiner is like this, but there are a lot of us like that have no plans to ever sell it.
Right.
There are early stage products that I don't even know if I'm completely comfortable. We've talked about this, and I don't think the early iterations of this I'm so comfortable engaging in. But at some point in the future, I think it'll advance, and I think it'll be safe enough to engage in. But there's products now that you can borrow against your Bitcoin into fiat.
Okay.
So what really smart people would do, like if you're one of those people, let's say that you're a guy that has $100 million of your value in Bitcoin, and you want to take $10 million of that value. But if you were to take that $10 million of value, you'd be responsible for 10%, 15%, whatever the capital gains would be. Rather than doing that, go to a bank, a Bitcoin bank, and take a loan against it.
I can take a loan against it.
And your loan percentage would be less than the capital gains percentage.
So as long as I pay back that loan in traditional U.S. dollars or whatever it is, I'm not going
You're paying less of that
they're not,
fee.
I'm just using the Bitcoin
you're actually
as my equity.
You're actually not. You're using it as equity, but you don't lose the Bitcoin either.
Right.
You get the fiat cash. You pay the fee for that, which would be less than the actual taxes. So like we talk about, like when people have wealth, when they accumulate wealth, they understand the system that they're engaged in and how to work around certain things. Whereas people that are poor, don't have financial literacy, don't understand any of those things, and they blame the rich for the ways that they do things because they don't understand that they can do those same things if they acquire wealth and they understand how to acquire wealth. Did that answer your question?
No, it does,
on
definitely.
that piece?
Yeah.
The other thing too that you made me think of when you were asking that question about the paintings, or the other thing that people don't take into account when they quote unquote own something is the stress associated with securing it.
Right.
I have to worry about somebody coming into my house and taking that painting off my wall. Or I have to worry about somebody I'm trusting on my security team not to do me dirty and to let somebody else steal that. Or I have to trust the people in my property that are renting from me not to defile it. Or I have to trust the bank to be a good actor. Or I have to trust the real estate agent not to screw me on commission. Like there's
and you
so
didn't even bring up
much
depreciation.
Trust. 100%.
Like a house depreciates. If I buy $1 million car, art doesn't depreciate, but if I buy a Ferrari, I got the upkeep and then the insurance and then the depreciation on that vehicle or anything like that, besides maybe like jewelry. I think that's probably the stuff that doesn't depreciate. But that's why I think it's an interesting thing, where it's just another thing, like a checkoff in my head. It's just another thing. Oh, wrong one.
It's another
one I'm checking off.
I'm like, rich at Bitcoin before this is done.
Well, yeah. Well, what about? Because I'm thinking like your dad is. Well, how about and I'm not, and I think our generation's like we're leery of these newer things, but now that's a new one. Well, but when I cash it out, or if I don't want to, why is this better than that? It's just another checkoff box that I'm like, okay.
And I know where you're going.
You got
with
me
this.
on that one.
I know where you're going with this. Trusting all these third-party entities, right? And how Bitcoin's a trustless protocol. Mm-hmm. Do you want to? Because I feel like that would really nail your point home to him, explaining like why you don't need trust with Bitcoin. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the blockchain is transparent, so you can see. We've talked about this too, but it's good to keep hammering this stuff home. You can see every transaction that's occurred from the Genesis block until today. So you don't have to trust someone else to be able to verify that the transactions are, you can just see it. Everyone can see it. So I don't have to worry about being screwed. It's all there for everyone to see. So there's no third party that's going to take care of this. We are transacting on the blockchain. So like when I buy a property, right? When I go buy a property, there are intermediaries that are involved for me to do that. I can't just go to Rich and say, hey, yo, I'm gonna give you this briefcase of cash. Just give me that give me that house and bounce out, right? You got to go through avenues to make that occur. There has to be a middleman to facilitate that transaction, right? You want to know what's even crazier? If I own a property and I want to make an update to that property, and Rich, you can back me up on this. If I want to make an update on that property, I have to let my local government know and sometimes get a special permit to even upgrade that piece of my property. Especially
and
if
they
it's
may
commercial.
deny that.
Especially if it's commercial. Commercial,
like,
100%. But even for like your home
they may
property,
deny it too.
They could tell you.
Or they're going to make you come in and they're
can't-
going to have their scam where you can do that, but you need to hire this guy that, to come in and do your electrical, or you have to hardwire your things, or there's definitely things that it's not, I can't do whatever I want with it. Especially in certain like municipalities, like if I paint my house bright orange, I'm going to go against the homeowners association, and I'm paying fees even in those situations. But also they're going to say, no, you can't put that flag on your house, or you can't paint it orange, or you can't have an inflatable that's more than 5 feet high.
Does that really sound like ownership? When you really think about all the stuff that goes with like being a homeowner, right? When you really like logically, because you're a smart guy, when you logically think about home ownership and you think about what ownership traditionally, if you look up ownership in the dictionary, what it means to own something, like when you think of like a property and all the stuff that goes along with it, and there's like, yes, you own this, except for if this bullet point happens, if this bullet point happens, if this bullet point happens, this bullet point happens. Don't pay your property taxes. Don't pay your school taxes. Don't pay your water bill. Make sure that you do this. Upgrade and let these people know. And if this happens, like all these like loopholes that you have to jump through to quote unquote own your, and we haven't even talked about like staying up on your mortgage.
Right.
I mean, if you pay complete cash, you still have all the taxes to pay for, but like most people aren't in that boat where they're just like free and clear of a mortgage.
Right.
So it's like it's like, yes, you own this, except for, and then you get the guy that talks really, really quick and goes through like the 8,000 things that if you don't do that, the house can be taken. So it's like when you really think about it, and people are like get into conversations about like owning real estate is better than owning Bitcoin. And it's
think about someone who goes and buys their house and and lives in it for 50 years or whatever, and then they get old, and then they have to be very smart in terms of how they take care of that house in terms of who owns it, so that if the person goes into a nursing home, that they can't come in and just take the value of that property that person wanted to maybe will to their children as a hey, we can give this to my grandchildren, but nope, insurance company's taking it because you're going into a nursing home now. They can take that. So there's things like that. I mean, obviously there's a process they follow, but that's why people have gotten creative in terms of like when to transition that property into another person.
Stress.
Stress. Yeah. It is a lot of stress.
And
usually, and to be honest, look what the number one cause for marriages to break up are. Usually the number one reason marriages break up is because of the financial debates, that the fighting and the stress, especially if you're the guy. Like I pay the bills in my house. So there's days when I got to pay out all that stuff. And I'm like, or the taxes are coming up or Christmas time or whatever, like this time. It's a stressful time because you're wondering like, okay, I like to have a certain amount of cash available at all times, but I know that this month it's going to be one of those months. And that leads to stress with your marriage. And for younger people, it's very complicated.
Think about the financial literacy conversation again. You have two people, a man and a woman, or man and man, or woman and woman, whatever. It's 2023. I'm not hating on anybody's lifestyle. But two people that get together that are financially illiterate. Like it's a TNT dynamite bomb ready to explode, right? And it goes back to like what we talk about, like change the money, change the world. If you educate people on finance and they understood finance is better and they understood like value, Bitcoin being the best value that we have, then you could potentially save relationships.
So Bitcoin saves marriages.
Could.
Can you get a prenup to protect your Bitcoin?
You know, I was thinking too while you were talking, and I'm not advocating.
That's a tongue-in-cheek question, but like, right?
Yeah.
You got a prenup on a Bitcoin, right? I'm not saying you specifically.
If she don't have the 12 seed passcode,
right,
that's
right.
the prenup,
So even
buddy.
that, if you're in a bad marriage,
you don't need a prenup
That's
if you
just
got the
terrible.
12
I
seed
just got you
passcode.
canceled. But like
I'm saying
right? Because that they can't. That your spouse, bad partner,
listen,
whatever it
Rich,
is, can't
this
even go
important.
after that,
this
right?
Is important. Your 12 seed passcode or 24 seed passcode is your prenup to the United States government. It's the prenup to anybody.
Really, that's such an interesting.
If like, again, and I'm not saying that my marriage would be, but like if she don't have the 12 seed code, she can tell the divorce attorney until she's blue in the face. This dude's got Bitcoin, and I'll be like, where?
Yeah.
Good luck finding it, brother.
I mean, it's a funny thing, but I mean, I think it further proves your point.
God.
Because of anything that you can think about that you own, you don't own it. You don't own it. Anything you have can be taken. And people have learned that.
I've shared this on a podcast.
Sure.
One of our earlier podcasts I've shared. I had a mutual friend that he went away. I'm not going to talk about what happened, his case or anything, but someone that went away right at the tail end of that 2017 bull run. He got indicted and he did some federal time. And I had a conversation with a mutual friend, and I'm like, listen, tell him he was going away for like 8 years.
His chairs
creaking.
Yeah.
He was going away for 8 years, and he was trying to figure out like how to get all of his affairs in order and stuff like that. And I told him in 2017, get a hardware wallet, put Bitcoin and Ethereum or whatever coins you have on it, and take your 12 seed passcode or 24 seed passcode and put it somewhere safe, not with a person. Put it somewhere safe that like somewhere where you'll know what these words are. Like nobody just looking at it won't understand what that is, but you'll be able to get access to it. So when you get out in 8 years, your value will be there, because he had a judgment against him too. Like he had restitution and stuff like that to pay. So he's like, when I get out, like I'm screwed. But he still had value before everything was going on, like getting his stuff in order. And I'm like, take that, put it in there. And this is at like this might have been at like 7,000 or 8,000 Bitcoin, and
wow.
Ethereum was like in the hundreds of dollars.
Wow. Is he still away?
He just got out this past year.
And he's up?
I don't know, because I didn't really have the conversations. I don't even know if he took the advice. I'm not sure if that's what he did.
Yeah.
But I had this conversation, and if that person would have done it, then they would have been in a much better spot than if they would have just took. And again, you take your money and you put it into a safe, or you have to trust that the money's going to be in the safe. You have to trust the money I gave to my wife. I have to like all this trust. He didn't have to trust anything except for his ability to either remember the 12 words or to put those 12 words somewhere where he could get access to, and only he would know what that was, and the value would be there waiting for him whenever his time was done.
Yeah. Another cool thing you can do is a Shamir backup, where you can...
Define Productions is not endorsing crime. Just to be clear.
All right, thank you. Yeah, you can break up your seed phrase into multiple shares and have them in different locations, where you would have to actually go to multiple locations at once to bring that seed phrase together. It's another security.
You ever seen the show Prison Break?
Yeah.
Remember all the tattoos he had on his body?
Yeah.
All those tattoos were ways for him to break out of prison. Like he got arrested so he could break his brother out of prison.
Yeah.
Like if you were creative and had lots of tattoos, you could strategically place your 12 seeds on tattoos all around your body, and nobody didn't even know what that was. And you could just be like, boom, 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 look, and find your 12 seeds on your body, and nobody would have any idea what the fuck it was. Ah, damn it, I did it again. Sorry, Mom. Sorry, Mom.
You're giving away all your secrets. I do want to shift over to a little bit of systems thinking and profit-taking strategies. I feel like that gives us a more diversified approach to what we talk about here. But I want to just have people like think of the crypto market as this giant ecosystem, right? Where everything is interconnected. Now, systems thinking is looking at the big picture, understanding how different elements work together, and predicting how changes in one part can ripple through the entire ecosystem. And I think you can piggyback off this. But how I like to look at it is the game of dominoes. Each piece represents different aspect of the crypto market. You have market sentiment, you have blockchain technology. If all these things, now systems involve understanding how one domino can set off a chain reaction across the entire ecosystem, impacting the overall market dynamics. When we apply systems thinking to crypto investments and their skill sets, knowing how to recognize different patterns, understanding market trends, macroeconomics, and that's what you come in. You're really good at macroeconomics, but foreseeing potential impacts and how they could affect different things within the ecosystem. And especially beginners that come in, they focus on one crypto coin or one narrative, gaming, or just one crypto coin within or a token within that narrative.
Dogecoin, Shiba Inu.
Yeah. And they're not looking at, the broader ecosystem and, the macro global economic factors that can have an impact, like interest rates and stuff like that. Yeah, so like I kind of look at it like a game, kind of like I look at it like a game and how I can beat the game. You're more of a maxi, so you're not taking that approach of where you're rotating and.
No, every time somebody new that I haven't had a conversation about crypto or Bitcoin with finds out that I'm like into it, a little piece of me dies every time they ask me, well, what do you think about Dogecoin?
Really?
It's just like, because that's like, Elon Musk and all that craze, but like that's unfortunately that's a lot of people's first encounter with crypto and Bitcoin, especially now with the price being so high, because most people don't have $37,000 laying around, and until you explain, because there's people out there that think that they need to have $37,000 to get into Bitcoin. They don't understand, Satoshis. They don't understand that you can buy, 20, I don't know at the time of recording what it would be, but something around 2,700 Satoshis for $1. Like they don't know that. You know what I'm saying? They don't understand that. So, their brain automatically goes to, okay, well, what can I do with my $100 to make it look like, $1 million? So it's like, oh, I can buy this coin that's worth parts of a penny, or I can buy this coin that's worth a penny, and maybe that'll do what Bitcoin did. And again, it goes back to tokenomics, what we talked about and stuff like that. So you have to really go back first principles and just understand what it is that your number one, what your goal is. Like, what are you trying to do? Like, I hate to say it, but the realistic probability of you turning $100 into $1 million is next to zero.
Yeah.
Okay. You turning your $100 into 1,000 is damn near close to
just
next.
did that.
No. I'm saying you can.
Yeah.
We're talking about the newbie coming into the space. Like your ability to take that $100 and to cash it. Let me be clear. Take that $100 and cash out 1,000 is close to zero as well.
Yeah.
Because you may take that $100 and turn it into 5,000.
Yeah.
Right. But if you don't know what you're doing, don't have a plan, you're going to ride that thing all the way back down to zero.
Want to know what the easiest plan is? I tell this to people all the time, and we talk about it. Financial advisors tell people, buy the S&P 500 every month, to have this dollar cost averaging approach. Now, when I scale out of a position, once retail comes in, because the blockchain explorer, everything's transparent. You can see where the money's coming in. There's no new money coming in. It's all people that's already been involved within the last 3 years that are sticking around, that are trading and putting new money in or converting their stable coins into, positions. My approach is very simple, man. It's just dollar cost average out, not on time frames, not every single month like I do buying in, but within specific thresholds. Like if a coin goes up 200, 300%, I'm just going to take risk-free, take the initials out, take the initial off the table and let the rest ride. It's risk-free. I'm not as emotional because I paid myself. It's risk-free, and I let the rest ride. It's easier said than done, because once that greed and envy comes in and you're emotional, it's really hard to make rational decisions. That's why I tell people, if you're buying something, know when you're going to sell it. Have an exit plan before you even buy. The market cap, what's realistic. Could this go to 50 billion market cap? What's its competitors? How does it, different from that? You know what I mean? So dollar cost averaging out is the simplest approach if you're in the altcoin market. If you're in a Bitcoin market, then just accumulate, stack sats.
While I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you talk, I just thought of something that I don't know if I really thought of, that I really recognized before.
What happened?
I've never, outside of profits I've taken in Bitcoin, I've never in my entire time in crypto, again, because I'm a Bitcoin maxi, mostly, I guess it would be, I've never taken fiat profits in any coins except Bitcoin. I've owned other coins taken profits and like I had Litecoin. I had 26 Litecoin that I got for like under $10. My full in on it was like super low, and I converted it at like $60 a coin into
Another coin.
Bitcoin. No, I converted into like 0.08 Bitcoin or something at the time, and like last market I owned a couple. I got into a couple, like I dabbled in shit coins, and I just never did anything. I never sold them. So this will be my first cycle where I actually plan on taking probably some fiat profits. Like I'm gonna spin into Bitcoin too, but I'll probably take some fiat, and especially with like Chainlink being my next biggest position. My plan for Chainlink, and I'm comfortable saying this, we've talked about this. I think Chainlink has a lot of potential this market cycle, and I think that Chainlink can reach $100 a coin. Yeah. I think it'll reach past $100 a coin. But for me, my plan when it reaches $100 is to spin 20% out into fiat.
So you have a plan.
Yeah, and then depending on how the market cycle goes, like as it goes, I will spin more out as it goes, and then at some point when I think the cycle is at a top, I'll be completely out of that coin.
I'm in so many coins.
Yeah, I don't really have
53.
And like for me, like I'm not comfortable shit coining. Like Bitcoin is just like I don't know. What's that?
I'm shit coining.
And again, like
my strategy will change once I have like a multi-million-dollar portfolio. I'm not going to be in 50 different coins.
I feel comfortable shitcoining only because like I have you as like a trusted source to like guide me through this stuff that I don't spend any time like really looking at because I'm just so immersed into Bitcoin. Yeah. But I see the value, and it's like I go get up and go to work at a job, and I make fiat for that. So why wouldn't I like use some of these coins to do the same thing to accumulate more fiat? That's all I was thinking about.
That's how I'm looking at it. Is like I'm looking at my portfolio and I'm like, okay, all I need is a 6-7x from where I'm at now, and I'll be living comfortable for the next 20 years, right? So what I do is I take all my crypto coins, I look at their price, the market cap, their all-time high market cap, and see if it's realistic to go back up to the market cap. I'm not looking at the price because a lot of these tokens are inflationary, so they're actually never going to reach their all-time high price. So I can't look at the price, look at the market cap, and where that market cap potentially go, because if it can go back to its all-time high, that's a 4 or 5x. So I'm looking at each individual coin, and I'm scaling out because not everything's going to top out at the same time. You know, some narratives, AI coins, gaming coins will top out before others top out. So I have to have a really good pulse on my portfolio. Not lock myself in my room and extract capital from the NPCs that are going to be, and it sounds terrible, but this is a player versus player game. And I was just talking about it, right? You know, the people that stuck around the last 2 years building in the bear market, planting their seeds. So I'm looking at each one of my coins, seeing when the market cap does their 3 to 5x, and then take out 50%. Let the rest ride. Make it risk-free. Because when you have all your money in your portfolio, if you have like $5,000 in a coin, it goes up to $25,000, you're going to be very emotional. Well, if you take that $5,000 out, make it risk-free, you're going to be less emotional on the trade.
You'll almost never time the top. Take your profits and just be happy with it.
Yeah, you'll never time the top.
Nobody's an expert, a trader, investor. Like it's just like take your wins when you.
I did time the tech bubble top in 2021, like selling like Square, Zoom, like all, and that's equities and stuff. But yeah, I'm completely out of the stock market. I actually onboarded into crypto from stocks. Right, everyone starts. Typically, most people start with stocks, but I was owning Coinbase, which I believe Coinbase is a good equity, and I was holding some Shopify, which Shopify did really well. And I was like, well, why am I holding Coinbase? I'll just buy Ethereum or Bitcoin. Like, I'm completely out of stocks. And then my dad's, and I just had a conversation. This is good. He's like really worried about me. He's like, Troy, like you're really like all in on crypto. And he's like trying to like make me like sell my Bitcoin, not sell it, but you know, people don't believe in it, don't understand it, don't see the value in it. And I said, Andrew Carnegie, he was like, my dad was like, don't put all your eggs in one basket, diversify, play it safe, buy some equities, bonds, whatever. Andrew Carnegie said, put all your eggs in one basket, but just monitor that basket very closely. So instead of having my attention in all these different fields, these instruments, focus in on crypto, focus in on narratives in crypto, not just because crypto is a very big industry. Focus in on gaming, focus in on AI, layer twos, and master that. I think you'll reap the rewards much greater than just having your attention spread out among all these different things. What do you think about that?
I think diversification is a great way for money managers to make money.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not, crapping on that, but it's just that I think like, think of the wealthiest outside of Warren Buffett. Think of the wealthiest people. Like, did Elon Musk diversify? Like, he went all in on his business or his couple little businesses and got wealthy in that. Did Mark Zuckerberg diversify? Like, he went all in on Facebook, and so if you're spending all of your time and energy learning something and you are proficient at that, the risk is much less. Mm-hmm. But if you're just dabbling in like 14 or 15 different things, yeah, your risk is less, but where's the upside?
That's why I try to explain them.
You know what I'm saying? So, and again, I don't view Bitcoin as a risk at all. Like,
especially
it's just not
from
a risk.
A normie walk.
I view owning zero Bitcoin as a risk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just, and if you're paying attention to markets at all, like, I don't understand how you don't see that. Like, I would hate to have all my value in paper currency right now and just holding paper currency.
Oh, yeah, terrible.
You know what I'm saying? And doing nothing with it. Like, I'd rather you have it in real estate. I'd rather you have it in like gold and silver. If you're not doing Bitcoin, like, do something except for cash, because cash is
trash.
Yeah. Do you want to get into some of the?
Yeah, we'll get into some of this. All right, so we'll pull this up. Wicked. Hold on, I lost my screen. For the first time ever, more than 70% of all Bitcoin has been hodled, which hodls means hold on for dear life, for more than a year. That's good. People are bullish. And I think there's the lowest amount of Bitcoin on exchanges too.
Yeah, that continues to get less and less. And again, that's why people don't understand when you get into like the tokenomics of Bitcoin. There's a not quite a consensus, but people seem to somewhere fall between 3 and 5. 5 is pretty high. I don't know if it's, but I would think somewhere between 3 and 5 million Bitcoin of the 21 million are lost. They're not even accessible. So when we talk about 21 million being like this hard cap and there only being 21 million Bitcoin, there's probably really only 18, potentially 16 total million Bitcoin.
Can I just interrupt you real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just saw something.
Sure.
So, because I wanted to verify that quote I said by Andrew Carnegie.
Okay.
It says, the way to become rich is to put all your eggs in one basket, then watch that basket closely. Shout out Tony Polly. But he's worth hundreds of billions of dollars. So
yeah, I think you did it right. You did okay.
All right, back to what you're saying.
Yeah, so you got this and again, when we say lost, it's because like back in the early days, people used to be able to mine on their hard drive.
Yeah.
And people, when they were mining their 50 Bitcoin per block, when it was worth like parts of a penny or like 10, 20 cents and stuff like that, like they would throw out old computers and just like, oh, I have like, $10 of value. It's like whatever. It's not really that big of a deal. So tons of Bitcoin were just lost through that. Or, early exchange, like people, and again, this is another thing too, like people just think like there's so many people that were in early that got so much money from Bitcoin. They don't understand the early days of how hard it was to custody it. Like Mt. Gox had like a plethora of the Bitcoin on there. Mt. Gox got hacked and Bitcoin got lost on Mt. Gox. And back in the day, like when you bought Bitcoin, bro, in the early days, and I came in just after this, so it wasn't as bad for me because I was at the early iteration of Coinbase. But you used to, like in 2010, 2011, you had to like send money to a third party, wait 3 days for it to clear, and then you get your coins a couple days after. So you might buy Bitcoin on Monday and you don't get it until like Friday or whatever. So it's just like people don't understand all that. So again, to get back to the original point, 70% of Bitcoin is being held for over a year. That means that stuff ain't moving. And again, somebody like Paul Tudor Jones, one of those guys that you say like the smart guy, smart money, he was like looking at Bitcoin. He's like, dude, these people in Bitcoin, they buy it and they don't sell when this thing drops 90%. Like never seeing that in any other assets. Like when assets crash, even your Amazons, even your like all these other ones that have done it, like people get the hell off the ship when it goes down. Bitcoiners don't. They're the band on the Titanic continuing to play when the ship's going down. Like, it's just like he looked at that and he's like, dude, that's fascinating. Why is that? So you have these hodlers that are holding 70% of the supply. Again, 70% not moving, plus the coins that are dead. Like, there's literally, like, I think right now maybe like 1.5 million up to potentially around 2 million or so on all the exchanges. So the floating supply of actual tradable Bitcoin right now is 10% of the entire supply. So we're not talking about trading 21 million to move the price. We're talking about trading 1.5 to 2 million to move the price. That's why the halvening is such a big deal, because the supply shock that comes in with half of the coins coming into circulation going from 900 to 450 is such a big deal, because people will continue to accumulate and less will be available for people to accumulate. So you're talking about, like, we'll get to a point at some point in time in the near future where there'll be less than 1 million coins moving the price. So when you buy like one coin, what kind of effect does that have on moving the price when you're talking about the multiple?
Well, I know you're gonna have to pay a lot for one coin for someone to actually sell their Bitcoin. If there's only 10% trading right now, people don't understand that. Like, this is a scarce asset. It's not like
it's part of the reason why this asset that people say you can't hold, you can't touch, like what like why does it have value, is worth $37,000 right now.
That's crazy.
And in 2013, it was worth hundreds of dollars.
So you think Bitcoin's the best asset in the world?
Hands down, without question. There's no second best. There's just Bitcoin. And everything else is going to zero against Bitcoin's price.
So when you say everything is going to, are you talking about currencies, or like what's going to zero to Bitcoin?
Whatever you're using to monetarily address a market price. Right now it's United States dollar. United States dollar is how we set market price. It's how we keep score. And that is going in the opposite direction of Bitcoin's price. And again, you have to understand, looking at like time horizon, you can say, oh, well, in 2021 it was worth almost 70,000 and today it's worth half that. It's like, all right, well, look at the whole chart. Mm-hmm. Look at the 4-year cycles. Like, let's revisit this conversation in 12 months. Yeah. Because if you would have said the same conversation in 2015, the same conversation in 2019, you would have said the same. We keep saying the same things, right? 2015, you're sitting at a $250, $300 Bitcoin after it was at 1,200, right? In 2019, you're having a conversation at 4,000 or 5,000 Bitcoin after it hit 20,000. So it's like you keep revisiting back to these same conversations and they don't age well.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can have that little time where you can say that, but like, let's go in a year, 18 months, and let's look at the chart. Then, because when we pass the all-time high again, and then we zoom that chart out, like these little blips, you'll look and see like where it's gone from 0 to infinity. And that's how you have to look at this thing. And if you look at the United States dollar chart, right? Bitcoin's going like this. The United States dollar chart is going like this. From 1913, we've lost like 98% of its buying power. Like a loaf of bread cost what, like 4 cents in 1913? And even if you just go to 1971 and see how prices have changed there, you start looking at home prices. We've done this in podcasts before, and you just see like everything is going to like zeros over here, infinities over here. The dollar's going in this direction, and Bitcoin's going in this direction. That's why everything is going to zero in terms of Bitcoin, because everything is priced in terms of dollars. And yes, right now, Bitcoin's worth 37,000. We're pricing it in dollars, but you got to get out of the fiat mindset and think of buying power. Like, what kind of buying power have you been able to accumulate by buying Bitcoin and holding it? Yeah. And where's your wealth been going if you're holding it in long periods of time? Again, if you're coming in for like 6 months, like, you're not going to do good in anything, let alone Bitcoin. You're never going to win. If you're just like a trader that comes in and buys anything, whether it be real, whatever you're buying, you're just not going to make it by having that short time horizon.
Yeah. You got to have definitely a pulse on your time horizon and know like what you're looking at, time frames. Like, if I'm buying Bitcoin and I'm holding it for, 1 to 4 years, like if I'm playing the 4-year cycle, I'm going to be looking at on the weekly, monthly, candles, like zooming it out. Like a year, even a yearly candle is possible. But I know people that are day trading at looking at the daily candles, and it's just like, what's the point? You're not gonna it's not a trade. It's not an asset you day trade.
Let me give you a thing to like kind of look at this. Like, I'm the Bitcoiner, right?
Mm.
When we start out this podcast, am I doing charts?
No.
I listen to you and I watch the charts, and I look at the price, but I don't really care.
Yeah.
I buy Bitcoin, I accumulate Bitcoin, I hold it. The price does what it does, and it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, you'll see people on crypto Twitter with all these lines and moving averages and VWAP and
it's nice
RSI.
To look at. And again, I'll look at a chain link chart because I'm planning on making a move with that. But even now, I'm not really so concerned with it as I will be later on. But
HODL.
True Bitcoiners that understand what's happening are not concerned. Do you want to cover real quick, because I know we're probably running out of time. Do you want to cover what happened in Argentina?
Yes.
I think that's a huge deal.
Yeah, we'll pull that up right now.
Okay.
Let's see if I have it.
I'll preface it while you're pulling it up.
I don't have it, but
okay. So there was an election yesterday in Argentina, and this comes back to change the money, change the world, our narrative that we keep talking about. Argentina had an election yesterday, and there was a candidate, starts with an M. I'll butcher his name. But he was running on a change the money platform. Basically, the central bank's a scam. He wants to replace the peso initially with the U.S. dollar, and he's like a student of the Bukele school of changing the money type thing. And he's been vocal about being pro Bitcoin. And the idea is that if he won the election, that he would adopt the same model El Salvador adopted, which completely changed the landscape of that country. They went from going to zero in their whole currency and their whole what's the word I'm looking for? The crime was high, the inflation was super high, and he came in and he put them on a Bitcoin standard. They've been buying 1 Bitcoin per day for a year, and I think that was a week or two ago that passed the year mark. So they're at 375 Bitcoin that they bought since they've done that, and they're up 120% dollar cost averaging in there from doing that, whereas they had a currency that was just deflating, going to zero in the other direction. And now they're on the legal tender of that country's Bitcoin. They're on a Bitcoin standard. A majority of the citizens there trade at their markets. They're scanning and using Bitcoin to trade instead of trading in a local currency, and they're way better off. The crime has gone down. Things have gone so better. They just had the Miss Universe pageant over the weekend in El Salvador. That's how people used to think El Salvador being this terrible place, dangerous place. The Miss Universe pageant's there now because it's that's how great things have gotten in that place. Argentina, inflation has been triple digits in that country. Their peso's shit, right? And this guy's running saying I'm coming in and changing the money. Initially, peso's gone. We're going to trade just in U.S. dollar. That's the initial thing he wants to do, and then eventually get into Bitcoin. Yesterday, he won by 20%. He is now going to be the president, and the ideology is that he will be there'll be another country that'll have Bitcoin on their country's sovereign balance sheet, which we believe that, it's going to start with these, unfortunately, United States, these bigger countries, their old school ideology, fiat standard, fiat mindset. It's these countries that are barely hanging on. They're this fiat shit ain't working for us. We have to find another way or we're just going to be killed off. Are willing to take that dive into Bitcoin, and El Salvador did it, and El Salvador has succeeded, and Argentina's hey, maybe that's for us too. And this guy won yesterday that is cut from that same cloth, so we could be potentially seeing in the coming weeks, months, and year Argentina following that same model that El Salvador followed, and bringing that country from the depths of killer inflation into a Bitcoin standard.
And didn't Bitcoin just hit all-time highs in Argentina? Or is that Turkey? I seen something this thing's trading at millions of dollars.
Not millions of dollars,
but it's broken
in their
local
local currency. It's trading at all-time highs in their local currency.
Right. But it broke the all-time high.
Yeah. It was. I think it was. It might have been Turkey. I know it's trading extremely high in countries that are way as bad as we are in inflation, way worse off than us in inflation.
Do you remember?
Yeah. So basically, again, it's the blockchain. When you self-custody your Bitcoin, you're not You're not taking Bitcoin off the blockchain and putting it somewhere. You are claiming ownership to that piece of the blockchain. You actually own that part of the blockchain, right? So I'm not sending you Bitcoin per se. I'm sending you the ownership of that part of the blockchain. Does that make sense? So like when I Venmo you money, like I'm taking dollars and I'm sending you dollars, and you're getting, like, the dollars are changing hands and stuff like that. Like the only thing that's changing is the value ownership. Is my piece of the blockchain I'm giving up to you, and now you own that piece of the blockchain. So that's again, and we can see that when I send you dollars, you send me dollars. No idea what part of the blockchain or what part of the fiat supply that makes up, because they just keep printing it, and it's just an infinite amount that just keeps going, and it's like the value is like, it's really valueless. Like it has value because the government says it does, but like what value does it really have, right? When I'm transacting with you on the blockchain, like I'm giving you ownership of the greatest piece of something that you could own, and I'm transferring it to you, and it's settling on the blockchain. I'm taking it, and now you own it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like there's 21 million Bitcoins.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you own 1 Bitcoin. You own 0.00% of that blockchain. You're transferring that
value to you. It settles on the blockchain. I'm not transferring you coins per se. We're just settling it right on the blockchain. The ownership is now in your control. Or if I send it to Coinbase, like technically, like they have it. You know what I'm saying? Like I have a paper contract saying that I own it, but it settles on the blockchain, and they have the keys to that. So they're giving me, and again, I'm trusting Coinbase, which is at this point just asinine to me that people still do that, but I get it. Like it's part of the learning curve. But like the person that has the private keys owns the Bitcoin on the blockchain.
I gotta say a thing. Bitcoin's going to 100K.
Yeah.
And if you can't beat them, you join them. And if you're on the outside looking in and you're on zero, that's the biggest risk. The biggest risk is owning 0 Bitcoin. Lack of knowledge is the risk. Get off zero. Yeah. Just start diving down this rabbit hole. You know, what I like to do is if I don't really understand something, I'll throw a little bit of skin in the game, buy a little bit, and then I'll start understanding it, and I'll start being invested in it because I got some money in this thing and I need to learn how this works.
You use Coinbase, right?
Yeah, I use Coinbase.
Yeah, so I use Gemini whenever I make any purchases. Let's put in the show notes. Let's put the Coinbase, your
Referral
Coinbase,
links,
and I'll put my Gemini.
Yeah.
Just like get started again. Self custody is another thing down the rabbit hole. If you're watching this and you don't own any Bitcoin yet, which would be kind of crazy, I think, at this point, but if you are watching this, you don't own any Bitcoin, open up a Coinbase account, open up a Gemini account, whatever, and just throw $20 on there.
Yeah.
Buy Bitcoin first, I would say, and just see how see what that looks like, and what that number looks like when you buy it, and you see the 0.00 whatever satoshis that you get,
yeah.
And then they just like start watching some videos and see how it like performs, and
right. Buy Bitcoin first. Pepe's a meme coin. I think it's going to be the Doge of the cycle. But yeah, get off zero, guys. Start diving down this rabbit hole. We have free content. We have a YouTube channel. We have LinkedIn. We're on all social medias, Twitter or X. We're on YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat. We're all over, man, and we're just trying to help the masses.
Yeah, I've been pretty active on Twitter lately. I haven't been. I'm learning that there's just
we're making this for you. We're doing this for you. We're helping you understand this so you could, get out of this fiat system, understand how money works, understand how this is better, and how this could help you preserve your wealth.
So we're wrapping this up.
We're wrapping this up.
Some exciting news that we want to let the viewers that are viewing this that made it all the way to the end. No. So we're located in the Western New York area. For those of you that are maybe watching this that are not local, they're doing a telethon. Niagara Falls firefighters are doing a telethon for the local community, and we are going to be live at this telethon doing a few upcoming podcasts. It will be Rich, December 2nd. December 2nd. We are unsure of our time slot at this time. We will let you guys know. We'll post it on our social medias. If we do another podcast in between that, we'll obviously release that time slot on the next podcast. But we're going to be live, which is big. That'll be the first time that we're live, and we're going to do our normal podcast at this great event that they do for the community. Niagara Falls firefighters will be there. Hopefully, I'm going to reach out to some of my firefighter friends to tell them that we'll be there, and if they're interested in like dropping by and we can like have a conversation, and whether they are into crypto or not, or they got questions, I think that'd be awesome. Just like put us on the spot and like Rich does, and asks questions, and we can answer those questions. I think that'd be great, especially just being live where like we can't edit anything. It's just like. So yeah, we're excited. We're really excited. Again, to reiterate what Troy just said, like this is free content we're providing for you. We're here because we believe in this space. We're here because we're trying to onboard as many people as we possibly can to this revolution, change the money, change the world. We are entirely grateful for every person that, clicks the like button, that clicks the subscribe button, or just even if you don't, you click the video and you'll watch it. And we're hoping to grow this thing to a level where we can eventually, like for me, I would love to like collaborate with other, crypto and Bitcoin podcasters at some point in the future. Get on their podcast. They can come on our podcast. Like totally, I have no qualms doing. Like there's. It's just it is what it is.
It's not going to be easy. It's definitely not going to be easy, but it's worthwhile. So thanks for watching.
Don't trust, verify.
Don't trust, verify, guys.